Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy J-Rock. Today I'm gonna be hitting you with another X-Men related review. Today we're gonna be reviewing the Marauders, Volume 1. This was written by Gerry Duggan, and this was originally written back in 2019. It's issues 1 through 6. Okay, now before we get started, so I'm gonna explain a few things to you guys. X-Men has recently been rebooted, and like a year or so ago, and now they're in this island like a refugee. This island's called Krakoa. If you're familiar with X-Men continuity, this island appeared back in the days on Giant Size X-Men back in the 70s, I believe. So a lot of things have changed. This is where we're at right now. The mutants have like their own island and they're starting their own country, and they're kind of distance themselves from the human race. So that's basically what you need to know. And now we're gonna jump into the story, and I'm gonna read it back along to you guys, and at the end we'll get to the review and the final thoughts. And so we start off with Kitty Pryde. She's obviously gonna be the main character of this series, the Marauders. She's like the team leader, and she's heading to Krakoa because we found out Krakoa, there's these portals that they have in Krakoa, and each portal takes you to different countries: Russia, China, wherever, Mexico. And Kitty Pryde can't cross through these portals. So it's like, what the hell's going on here? Also, Krakoa heals mutants because it's a living island. When a mutant dies, they could heal them or it could revive them. And it turns out Kitty Pryde can't cross through these portals. And she also, if she dies, she can't be revived by Krakoa. So it seems like all mutants are like they can never die pretty much, right? Because they could get resurrected, except Kitty Pryde. So she's the only vulnerable one, but most of the mutants don't know this yet. So Kitty Pryde goes to Krakoa the old-fashioned way on a boat. White Queen is there, ready to greet her, and she's impressed by her. She goes, "You know your way around the ocean. You know how to manage the ship, right?" So she says, "I might want you for a mission, form a group." And Kitty Pryde's not sure she wants to do it quite yet. She goes, "You'll be perfect for it because you know the ocean, you know your way around the sea." So they form a group, and it turns out she wants her to bring refugees back to Krakoa. A lot of these refugees, they block the portal so they can't go through the portal, or some of these countries don't even have a portal at all because they don't want people leaving those countries. They want to keep them by force in the countries that they belong. So they're gonna sneak them out into boats by to the ocean, right? Because it's not as heavily guarded. So that's the plan. It's kind of like Cuba, China, how people want to leave those countries because they're bad countries, they're communists, and they don't let you just leave just because you feel like it. Like you gotta escape out of that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, here we show Bishop, so he's gonna be joining the squad. We show him here. He's in I believe in Korea, and we got this lady named Chen Zhao. She freaking hates mutants. She's kind of racist, and Bishop is just watching her give this speech how her husband has disappeared and they probably have something to do with it. And he's just listening to all this, and he tells her, mutants, we don't have anything to do with that. She hasn't been through these portals. We keep track of these portals. She says, sure, sure, whatever. So she's still convinced they do. Then we jump off to Russia. The team she's formed with Pyro and Iceman, they're going to Russia to get some refugees. But when they get there, there's a bunch of Russian soldiers that have this armor that and these weapons that when they shoot mutants, the mutants become depowered. They no longer have their superpower, so they have to fight the old-fashioned way. Iceman gets hit by this gun, so he's no longer Iceman. Now he's just naked. He's a regular human naked, and he runs through the portal. So do the rest of the X-Men. So the mission in Russia was kind of a fail. They go back to Krakow once they get to the other side of that portal. They're talking to Kitty Pryde and so forth, and now they're gonna and Kitty Pryde here, she cracks a joke about Iceman because he's naked, and he goes, "Oh man, these men are after me, right?" So she tells him, "Oh, was it business or pleasure?" So this writer Gerry Duggan, he seems to keep cracking like gay jokes at Iceman's expense here. It happens a few times during the course of this trade. And so, anyways, we're gonna go. Let's get back to the story here. We get to we're talking to Kitty Pryde and so forth, and now they're gonna go to Korea, but they're gonna go through both because Kitty Pryde can't go through the portals. So once we get to Korea, man, she's a total badass right here. I really like this character. I like most of the X-Men characters. You see her being badass. She's going through tanks because she could phase through walls and stuff like that. She's destroying people in these tanks. She even grabs this gun and she puts it inside somebody's body because she can make things when she touches something it also could go through objects like she can. She puts it inside these two guys' legs. Then she lets it go and it just kind of like breaks it welts to their body, to their legs. Oh, this thing looks gross. Marauders just had a victory, so they're over here drinking and getting faded, and this is like the third time in the book that Kitty Pryde has been getting drunk. So they meet up with Bishop because he was in Korea since earlier. He meets up with them, tells them the bad news about what happened to Xavier. Turns out Xavier got killed. Now, for you guys to know about this, it doesn't say it in this book. So to find out that story, you would have to read X-Force. So they know Professor Xavier's dead. They're still just drinking, partying. They're like, oh yeah, that's messed up. Okay, anyways, let's just get back to drinking. Then they go to this tattoo parlor. And when they're in this parlor, Kitty Pryde's getting tattoos on her knuckles and Pyro's getting a tattoo on his face, which that's so stupid. Like who does that? Who gets a tattoo on their face, especially if they're a superhero trying to be low key? Not everybody will know who he is all the time, right? So, anyways, he does this, and then to make things worse, his tattoo is just all black. His face is all black, basically. They color him like a different color. Oh man, I don't know, I don't know what this writer's thinking on a lot of this stuff he's doing. Okay, so after all this, Bishop kind of joins the team as well, and Gateway pops up. Gateway has been around in the X-Men titles for a long time. He basically opens portals so they could appear in other places. So Gateway appears right here, and I don't know what's up with the colors. He made him like way too light skinned. He looks white right here, and Gateway's a lot darker than that. So come on, guys, it's not rocket science to get these things accurate. So, anyways, he's right here, and they use him as a portal because Kitty Pryde can't use the other portals, right? So it makes me think, why don't they just use Gateway all the time instead of having her going ships through the ocean, wasting days to get from country to country, or weeks even, right? Just why don't you just keep him around, use him? That makes no sense. Once they go through this portal that Gateway opened up, they appear in this place where White Queen's at, and she's talking to the team and so forth, and she got them this big military ship, so they're not on this little ship anymore. This ship looks badass, and she's talking to Kitty Pryde, and Kitty Pryde's kind of like the leader of the team, like what you wanna name the ship, what you wanna name the team. She says the Marauder, and we're the Marauders. Why the hell did Kitty Pryde wanna name this team the Marauders? The Marauders is an ex villain group that used to fight the X-Men, and they killed so many mutants. So just naming them that is so offensive to mutants. And why would she be like, oh yeah, that's a great name. Let's just call this team the Marauders. That makes no sense to me. Back inside the building, White Queen is talking to Sebastian Shaw. Now it turns out Sebastian Shaw, the Hellfire Club, is now like a corporation. Uh, and he's using his, he has money, a lot of wealth, ships, and so forth. So he's using some of this to transport drugs. So yeah, he uses this to he wants to bring some refugees back from other countries, but at the same time with those same boats, he's transporting drugs to people, right? So he takes these boats, leaves cargo of drugs and so forth, and then in those same boats, he brings refugees on the way back with him, right? So that's kind of his game plan, what he's been up to. Because a lot of these humans, they want these drugs that revive them, resurrect them. There's this plants or whatever that grow in Krakoa. So humans now, they're seeing this miracle drug, kind of like oil. Countries fight over oil. We don't like your country, but we want your oil. So wars start. That's what they're doing here. Some humans are buying it illegally, but eventually someone's gonna wanna raid the island and try to steal all the miracle drug, right? But for now, they're just buying it illegally, and he's their supplier. He's taking advantage of this golden opportunity to make more money. As Sebastian Shaw is talking to White Queen about all this, he's talking about he wants another spot at the table. The table meaning it's like think of Congress, the table of Congress and so forth. He already has a spot there, but he wants an extra spot because there's a vacant seat available. It's calling it the Red Queen. And he's saying, I want that spot too. So they go, you can't have two spots. He goes, but I'll bring somebody that, somebody that he could control to take that spot. That way it's like he gets 2 votes in the House. You know what I mean? As they're having this argument, White Queen is telling them, oh, I'm not going to just let you bring whatever little hoochie you're manipulating this week to take that spot so you could have 2 votes. When he hears her say that, he just grabs her and he gets pissed. And he goes, you're not going to be playing these games with me like you play with other men, Emma. And this shit don't fly. And he's like angry right here. And as he's doing this, Kitty Pryde shows up. She goes, that seat ain't even available because I'm the new Red Queen. And as she's telling him this, she's drinking again. She's just pouring some freaking champagne. You can see her face. She's clearly wasted again. The issue ends there. Then the next issue starts off where Sebastian Shaw is back at Krakoa, and they're with these plans that they resurrect people. They're resurrecting his son, Shinobi Shaw. Now, Shinobi Shaw and Sebastian Shaw, they're father-son, but they have a complicated relationship. As these relationships tend to happen between father and son when they're when someone has a lot of wealth, when they're rich, it's like sometimes they just want you to hurry up and die, or so they could take over your empire or your money. These things happen. They're just in a rush for the inheritance. So they kind of used to have that type of relationship, Shinobi and Sebastian Shaw. So he's like, well, my son won't remember any of our past once I resurrect them. So they resurrect them, and he's explaining to his son, because Shinobi's telling him, I don't remember a lot of what happened before, because that's not even important. What we need to concentrate on is right now, the present and the future. And he's telling Shinobi, look, we got this empire, I got this corporation, you're my son, I want you to be by my side. Because right now is a perfect time to strike. Like not physically strike or anything, but like politically. Because he's telling him, look, this country, this world right now is getting divided by blue versus red, white versus black. He goes, nobody's cohesive. So this is our opportunity, if we all stick together, to just take over the spot and, we get stuff running for ours, for the mutants. Now the Marauders, they go back to Korea because there was something fishy with this lady Chen Zhao, right? So they're investigating and everything, and they find her husband. They had him locked in this place. She's hiding him there so she could just blame it that the mutants have him, right? That they're somehow responsible. So it's this little political agenda she's trying to push to get people to hate mutants, even though mutants are just trying to be left alone and they're doing nothing wrong. So while she's giving this hate speech basically right there in front of everybody, they get her husband, and he's being protected by these bodyguards, these Lady Deathstrike lookalikes. So Kitty Pryde and the Iceman, they're fighting them, quickly take care of business, right? And then they're in a rush because they want to go before this hate speech ends. They show up to where she's at and they go, here's your husband. So they just put her on the spot in front of everybody that she's full of shit and she's just pushing this nonsense. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. Just, got her right there. Everybody's like, oh shit. Like other people watching. Now they know that she's just been lying this whole time. Okay, so Chen Zhao, she's clearly pissed off after this stunt the Marauders pulled off. So she's looking for someone to back her play. She wants to get some like revenge on them. So she's like, Madripoor. Madripoor's the perfect place. Madripoor is like this town. It's a lot of poverty there. It's like, think of the Philippines or Mexico where, someone will kill for $1. So she knows if I go there, people are easily bought because money, the less money there is around, the more important it becomes. The more people will do things for it. So that's why she knows she'll find some shady people in this country. So while she's going there, the Marauders, they find out they have to go stop her. So they have to go to Madripoor. So while they're on this ship, on their way over there, bam, the hate monger pops up. He's like a bootleg Clans member guy. He pops up, and so does Executioner. Executioner is a character I'm not that familiar with, but I do know of him. So from what I know of him, it doesn't make sense that he's helping the hate monger, because he goes after bad mutants like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and so forth. he doesn't just go after like X-Men or anything. So I don't know why they're in cahoots together. As the Marauders are fighting with these two characters, the Executioner, he has this stick and he tries to hit Kitty Pryde. Now she could turn invisible, so she phases, and the weapon goes right through her. But it turns out Pyro was right behind her, so the weapon hits Pyro right in the chest. Got him. And to make things worse, when she hits him, that weapon, it had Yellow Jacket. He's like a Ant-Man villain, so he could grow very big or very small. So he's like the size of like some bacteria or something, right? At this moment, so when they stab him, he basically gets injected into the body of Pyro. So now they can follow the X-Men, they can follow the Marauders around wherever they go, because he's working from the inside, like literally from the inside of Pyro's body. So we get introduced to some new players now. It turns out there's this group of little kids, and it's led by this girl named Verendetti, I believe her name was. She's an executioner and hate monger to complete this hit, to basically so they could track the Marauders. Think of it as like they tap their phone now. So now they'll know wherever they're at and they could hear all their next moves. And they feel like with all this information, the way things are in the world at this moment, other countries hate the mutants at this point. They go, we could sell all this valuable information and we could make a killing. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. That's what they're after. And they feel this will give them some clout. This is something they could sell to the highest bidders, and they could get some importance, right, for their little group. So now that we know who's behind all this, we get back to the fight. Okay, so while they're fighting here, Bishop quickly disposes of them. Boom, sends them into the ocean. Hate Monger and Executioner. So the rest of the X-Men are like, hey, what are we gonna do and this and that? And Kitty Pryde is telling them, you guys go back to the portal. I'm gonna just man the ship back to physically, right back to the island. So they're like fine, and then Kitty Pryde stays on the ship, and once everybody leaves, Sebastian Shaw shows up on the ship, traps her with these like plants or whatever, and he tosses her into the ocean. He tells her, look, I gotta get rid of you. Nothing personal. I don't have any beef with you, but I need your seat in the council. I need to replace you with someone I can manipulate, and you ain't it. Because you can't control Kitty Pryde. And she's like, no, I'll vote the way you tell me. Just, let me and my dragon live. Because she had Lockheed with her. And he's like, I can't. I just can't trust you. So he tosses both of them into the ocean. And he's just sitting there on the ship by himself. I was like, oh shit, what a freaking ending. So that's where the trade ends. So what do we think of this Marauders Volume 1? I freaking loved what they're doing. I love where it's going. I was digging it. I had fun all the way through. It did kind of like drop the ball a few times. So let's get into it a little bit. The likes and dislikes. We got Sebastian Shaw doing his shady politics, trying to play both sides, and that's what I love. I love that about him. He's that guy that just he's very political, telling you what you want to hear, while at the same time he's fucking you over. And White Queen is kind of the same, she's kind of one and the same as Sebastian Shaw. So it's nice to see them just go at it here and try to outsmart each other like a game of chess. We get a lot of office politics, intercorporation politics, and it even has this touch of like how drug cartels and so forth. At the end of the day, they're kind of like empires as well and corporations, and they fuck each other over all the times too, right? Pretending to be working together and they're trying to one up each other. There's a lot of that here with the smuggling of drugs and smuggling of people, because a lot of these refugees, these people that help refugees and so forth, these groups need money as well, so they do a lot of illegal stuff to get that money. And here, Sebastian Shaw is kind of playing that role. Now, Kitty Pryde, I thought they portrayed the character very good, except they're giving her this like alcohol problem. I've been noticing she's always drinking. So I guess going forward, though, Hinare was what's the angle there? What are we gonna do with that? That clearly seems like it's going somewhere. But she's also like this feminist, woo, girl power thing, right? Like, for example, she keeps saying, I'm Kate now. I'm not Kitty Pryde. I'm a grown woman. I'm not a kid. So, that's fine. But they constantly keep like reminding you of it to call her Kate now instead of Kitty Pryde. And then they have Sebastian Shaw be a little sexist. Like he says things like there's this panel where he's like, "Oh, that's women's work. It's something very simple, that they could do." And Emma Frost and Kitty Pryde are like, "Fuck you," like so they're clearly offended by his chauvinist attitude, and that was fine. It had some of that, but I felt it was just the right amount. It wasn't like beating you over the head with it. It was there, but it was done in a way where it didn't bother me. I thought it was fine. Now, one thing about that I was like wasn't expecting was in the X-Men comics now, Iceman, he's LGBTQ now. So I thought when they made him LGBTQ, they were gonna do things with him to kind of better represent that community, give him certain situations or whatnot that maybe that community deals with that we don't, so you could better understand some of their life or whatnot. And they keep using them as just like the only times they ever bring it up is for gay jokes. So I was like I wasn't really expecting that. Let's get to the art a little. I honestly enjoyed the art. I thought it did a good job telling the story, moving the pieces along. I think where it lagged was in the fight scenes. They didn't look super exciting or explosive, right? But story wise, when they're doing everything else, getting from place to place, talking, partying, drinking, doing all this other stuff, the art was pretty good. Facial expressions, I thought it was pretty good at that as well. It was just the fight scenes I thought they were lackluster. This series has Kitty Pryde as the main character. It reminds me a lot of Excalibur back in like the mid and late 80s, where she was like the main character of that team. That's the one I felt they were fleshing out the most. And this feels that way. So I love that. And Kitty Pryde here, she's older. She's not as young as she was in the Excalibur group. But personality wise, her character still kind of acting the same. She's still kind of immature, which I don't mind. I find her more entertaining, more interesting that way. Character with flaws. She constantly like she'll screw up, then she'll learn how to fix what she screwed up, and she'll overcome that obstacle, right? Kind of like how Wolverine and Batman do. That's what makes a great character. To see them how they improve upon whatever thing they whatever mission or whatever they failed earlier in the story. If you guys read this before, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section. I'd be interested to hear because I know this one has like mixed reviews. Some people like it, some people don't. So I'd be interested to hear your guys' take on it. Other than that, that's all I have to say about the story. And I can't wait to get to volume 2. And I'll check you guys out next time.